Hello everybody, this is Ken Tucker. Thanks so much for joining our webinar this morning on digital marketing for roofers. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going over the most important elements that we think every roofer should be doing in terms of having an effective online presence. So I really appreciate you joining us today. We have a lot of material to get through, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. All right, so what, a lot of times when we talk to folks, they really have no appreciation for what it takes and how important it might be to have an effective online presence. But when you do this, you're going to have the opportunity to really dominate that presence, and what that means is you're going to be able to be found online very easily. It's going to generate a lot more leads than you probably have today, and it's going to set up a marketing system so that you just know that your marketing is just working because the phone is ringing, you're getting people to fill out contact forms on your website, requests for estimates, whatever it might be, and you're going to really see a dramatic uptick in people finding you as a result of doing searches online. So what we're going to cover today is really just, again, kind of a blueprint that we've put together of a series of the most important tactics that are out there for your roofing business. The goal is to obviously get you ranked on page 1 and on the search results. And, as a critical element to that, you absolutely need to be found for Google Maps. If you do business in a local area, you need to be found for search phrases when somebody's doing roof replacement, your community. When they type in that phrase, your community, or in this case maybe Savannah, Georgia, or Colorado Springs, Colorado, then that's going to trigger the Google Map results, and that's really, prime real estate for every local business. You do that by establishing the NAP. We'll talk about what NAP is, but it basically stands for name, address, phone number, and getting listed online in as many places as you can. We'll talk a little bit about the impact that social media has for being found online, and then also, really, we believe you're going to be able to double the incoming prospects that are finding you online, either calling your business or filling out a form, and so that can have a dramatic impact on the growth and profitability of your business. So, the reality today is almost everybody is using online to find businesses. There's still a very strong referral base and word of mouth, but online has actually become the new word of mouth in many, many respects. It certainly hasn't replaced, the traditional marketing and networking events. It hasn't replaced friends and family, when they're having conversations, sharing who they've had great success with, working with, and who they would recommend, things like that. But, the overwhelming statistics show that people are looking for services online. In fact, 77% of consumers go online when they're looking for roofing services, and you can see the volume of searches that are out there every month for roofing and siding. It's pretty staggering. So who am I? Well, my name is Ken Tucker. I am one of the co-authors of the Digital Marketing for Roofers book that we've provided, and I'm also a founding member of the Roofer Marketing Alliance. I've been doing digital marketing since 2008, and I've spoken on numerous topics around the U.S. on digital marketing, search engine optimization, web design, email marketing, any subset of digital marketing I've talked about. I have been on several recent podcasts as well, and I've written a couple of books, which I'll get to in just a minute. I take my continuing education very seriously. This is a world in the online or digital marketing space that is constantly changing. And it changes very quickly, and there's a pretty broad range of things that are happening and things that are changing on any given time. So I take my education very seriously. That's why I've become a StoryBrand certified guide. I'm a master duct tape marketing consultant because I like the fact that it gives you a marketing system that gives you a repeatable, manageable, optimizable marketing system that you can really use to effectively grow your business. And I'm an SEO for Growth certified consultant. So, I've done a lot of search engine optimization work over the last 10 years or so. So let's talk about a couple of the books that I've written, and then we'll just move right on into the things that I know you're going to care about the most. Again, this is just a list of the certifications I have. I do have others, but these are the ones that are going to be most relevant to you in regard to the to the roofing opportunities that we're going to help you uncover. So I've personally written a couple of these books, and I work with a group of consultants and collaborated on and provided insight into many of these others. Specifically, the one down in the bottom middle, the reputation management book, is one that I've written, and then also I did do a book on social media marketing for restaurants. And while that may not sound really relevant to you, I believe there are a lot of really valuable tips and just really solid education in terms of social media marketing for a local business, and so I think it's still potentially relevant to you, but a lot of the things that I talk about in social media, we can apply those, whether it's a brick and mortar business that somebody goes to, or whether it's a service business like what you guys have, where you go deliver your services at the customer's location. And of course, we did the digital marketing for roofers book as well. So we're going to cover what we think are the exact strategies that you need to use to effectively grow your roofing business. And one of the things that is really, honestly, it's a challenge, is there's just so much. There's so many channels out there, so many things that you could be doing. The more that you can do of this in an integrated, consistent manner, the better. There are definitely things that take top priority and very high priority, and so as we go through this, we're going to uncover many of these channels and the tactics that you need to be using to be effective in these channels. So we're going to talk about search engine optimization, getting listed on Google Map results, pay-per-click advertising, Google Ads. By the way, they've just recently changed that from Google AdWords to Google Ads. Facebook advertising, if you're a commercial roofer, there may be opportunities for you to use LinkedIn advertising. Bing is still, got an advertising platform that's worth considering. Social media, what social media channels are going to make the most sense for you. The importance of online directories, and this is probably something that I find most people really underestimate, just how critical these online directories are. And then there's some paid lead services, so we'll kind of go through those things. So when you're doing online or digital marketing, you still have to have a website, and it still has to be a great website that's designed for search engine optimization and conversion for most businesses, including roofers. I can't stress this enough. The challenge is a lot of people want to rush to use social media, and while social media can be a great channel, you're renting space there, and you're at the mercy of what Google decides to do. And just in the last couple of months, we've seen radical changes in what Google My Business gives a business the capability to do. I mean, they used to give you the ability to have a description of your business and list your services and describe those. They took that away. It was gone for several months. Now it's back. They give you the ability to do posts. They, it's just really, I mean, these things constantly change. My recommendation very strongly is you have to have your own primary website property, because that's where your conversion happens. Everything else that you're doing is really ultimately driving traffic, to a place where you can clearly convert those people to make phone calls or to fill out those contact forms and contact your business. The impact of mobile search is clearly here. It has been here for a long time. We're now well past the time frame where the majority of people are using their mobile devices to do searches. And if you're trying to reach a younger demographic, obviously they may not even have a computer anymore. They're going to do everything on their phone or their tablet. So that's going to become really important, and Google obviously has some impact in regard to your mobile friendliness of your website. Search engine optimization. So really at a high level, 50,000-foot view, this is all about building high quality inbound links, and it's about content creation and doing things on your website to make it easier for the search engines to crawl and digest and understand what your page content is all about, and ultimately your site. Getting listed on Google Maps. We're going to go into these in a lot more detail. Getting active on social media. I actually should have also listed Instagram here at this level. Email marketing, still continues to be a really important channel. As a matter of fact, when it comes to driving sales and conversion, email marketing still outpaces most other channels. We'll talk about that. Pay-per-click advertising, using Google AdWords or a paid service, can be really, really important and can drive immediate results. And then I believe you should be tracking and measuring everything, because then you can take the results of the data and all the information you're learning and use that to optimize the performance of any of the campaigns that you have. And ultimately, every one of these channels, you should be thinking about how that channel is operating as a campaign. So let's talk about the 8 steps that we think are really important for being successful online. First thing is you've got to understand how the search engines work. You got to have a focus on your website, what needs to be on your website, how it needs to be laid out, things like that, including what pages you should have, how you optimize those pages. Getting on Google Maps, building the links and building authority in the eyes of the search engines. Taking advantage of social media, and then when you do all these things, the paid advertising and measuring and tracking, you're going to start to see the phone ring more frequently and much more consistently. So let's talk about understanding the search engines. So you might hear a phrase mentioned from time to time when people are talking about SEO, this idea of SERP, and it really just stands for search results page. You can get these search results pages, they're going to be triggered when somebody types in a search phrase in Google or Bing or any of the other search engines that are out there. And so the ways that you can be found for search are going to include, you can pay to advertise for a keyword phrase in a particular location that shows up when people are doing searches. You can focus on what we call the organic listings, which are the things that you can do to your website, and this is really where what I consider to be SEO. Pay-per-click strategy is considered to be search engine marketing. Word of caution here, if you're talking to somebody and they're talking about doing SEO, make sure you press them on, are they talking about doing pay-per-click advertising, or are they talking about doing organic listings? Too many vendors out there are trying to push SEM as being the equivalent of SEO, and ultimately I see SEO is the big picture. It's an integration of both the paid pay-per-click and the organic listings, but it doesn't ignore the organic listings. too many times I find that a lot of people who are selling SEO services, they're really selling SEM. They're not being honest with you. When you shut those services down, you've done nothing to build the equity in your website and make it more findable in search results, and you'll see a dramatic drop off in business. So, word of caution, just confirm, are they doing things to help you be found online and get your website to rank better in the organic search listings, or is it a paid strategy? And then obviously Google Maps, and we'll show you, kind of how you can determine, where these things fall. So, in the top of the search results page, when you type in a location plus a product or service, or vice versa, a product and service plus a location, it's usually going to trigger the Google Map results. And this is the way that most of the people who are looking for having roofing services done are going to be looking for your business. And so at the top, you can see that Google displays the ads, and you can see the little ad display there, and it's usually going to be 4 results or so, but it depends on how competitive the space is. There may not always be 4 results, but this is how you can guarantee that you're going to show up for a search for a particular phrase in a particular location. And this is a pay-per-click. It's a real-time auction to be found in this space. It's highly valuable, but you have to pay for it. And you pay on a per-click basis, so you can have your ad displayed, but if nobody clicks it, you're not going to be charged. That's another concern, because if people aren't clicking on your ad, then that has an impact on your continued ability to run the ads and get them to show up, in the top set of results on the very top of the page, which is where you absolutely need to be if you're going to be paying for ads. And then you've got the Google Map result. Again, the map result is going to be triggered when somebody types in a location in association with a product or service. And sometimes it might require that they put in, the state that they're in. The city may not always be enough. But the maps results is really huge. Underneath the map results right now, Google is displaying 3 results that has varied in the past. It used to be 7, it used to be 5, it's now 3. There's no way to know when Google's going to decide that it's going to change how many it's displaying in these map results, but really prime real estate. Then you've got your organic search listings, and this is where your search results show up based on the things that you're doing to your website, the quality of the inbound links that you're getting to your website, the quality of the content, the site structure, all of those different things. Which leads us into building out your website. So unfortunately, too many roofer sites have 3 to 5 pages or 10 pages. And honestly, that's just not really a whole lot of content for the search engines to use to help your site rank. Oftentimes when you have a 3 to 5 page website, you've got one services page that describes all of the different roofing services that you offer, and really people aren't searching for general roofing services many of the times. They may be looking for replacement roof, or something that's a little bit more specific, roof shingle options, things like that. And so you need to be in a position where your business is still going to be findable when people are doing searches for those things. So I think it's really important that you have a page that delineates and breaks out and explains each and every specific service that you do: commercial roofing, residential roofing, all of the nuances of that. If you do, energy efficiency or energy efficient roof, materials that you install, all of those things are really important. And I think it's important to have a page for every city or sub-city or even important neighborhood that you serve, because again, people tend to add these to the search phrases, and that's going to trigger your website to show up for that search. So, just a list of some of the common keyword phrases. And again, you can put the your city after the service or solution that you're offering. So, your city plus roofing, roofing plus your city. Those are actually different keyword phrases in the eyes of the search engines. Just because you rank well for your city plus roofing doesn't mean you're going to rank equally well for roofing plus your city. And when somebody types in the search, they're not putting in this plus symbol. It's going to just really be, like Chesterfield, Missouri roofers, or Chesterfield, Missouri roofing contractors, or Des Moines, Iowa roof repair, or roof repair, Des Moines, Iowa, and it just varies. And actually, the search volumes can change dramatically as well. Most cities I tend to be, the service plus the location are going to get higher search volumes, but that may mean that it's more competitive too. So you just really have to do some keyword research. Having more pages, I just can't stress this enough. I mean, as I mentioned before, too many roofers have a tendency to just have one high-level services page that just lists out in bullets what they do. When you build out a roofer website for search engine optimization, it's going to have a subpage for all of these different services, and also it's going to have pages for each of the major cities or regions that you want to make sure that you're found for. And so I really encourage everybody to take time to build these out. You can't just copy and paste these pages. So I want to say that again. You can't just copy and do a copy and replace on these pages. You can't swap out city and that's the only thing you've changed on a page. Google sees that. It knows that it's not valuable, important content for the site visitor, and it's not going to help you rank. You have to write each one of these pieces of content for each one of these pages. Needs to be unique, and it needs to be seen in the eyes of Google as not being duplicate content. Duplicate content is it just adds zero to your website. So it's not a penalty necessarily that you have duplicate content on your website, but this is an old SEO strategy people used to do, and it no longer works. It hasn't worked for several years. So if you've had your website around for several years and you actually happen to have many of these pages, chances are when they were built, they were literally, take your roof replacement page, write it 5 times, and then just do a find and replace on the location, and and then add that as a new page onto your website. That doesn't work anymore. And if Google sees that and it knows that those pages are older out there, I honestly think it could have an adverse impact on your website. So anyway, keep that in mind. That's a big mistake we typically see people make. So again, you want to lay out these pages. You can have them available in the navigation. They don't have to be available in the navigation. But you should. The services pages, I believe, absolutely should be in the navigation somehow, some way. Or have icons clickable on the home page of your website, or have those listed out in the footer of your website. Which leads us to, the navigation and page flow. So these are really kind of the high-level critical pages that we think are going to be important. I'm a big fan, honestly, of keeping the upper right-hand corner of your website focused on conversion. When you redesign, especially for your home page, you can now put what we call a pancake menu, which is that little stacked rectangular icon. There are usually 3 bars, and you can click on it and you can expand it and you can get a menu. And this has become really popular, especially since mobile devices typically render a menu this way anyway. But I think, if somebody's doing a search on a desktop, have a call to action and give them their phone number. So it's like schedule a consultation, download an ebook, watch, a webinar on how to select the right roofing contractor, whatever you're going to be doing, and then also have a phone number up there. but don't clutter anything else. I mean, you might have one or two other links to core pages if you really think that that's important, but I'm a big believer in putting the navigation in the footer as much as possible. It's really common. We're in an era where people expect to see a long scrolling home page, and it gives you an opportunity to really tell the story of your customer's journey on your home page and why they should be working with you and how you can help solve their problem, and that you have a plan, to take them to the state that they want to aspire to, which is to stop a leaky roof or to have the best looking roof in the neighborhood, as part of really exterior remodeling project that they want to make the neighbors jealous because their house now looks so great. So, I talked a little bit about conversion. Again, put your phone number in the upper right hand corner. Don't make people look for it. It should be there on every page. But again, put it there with a single key call to action, and just put that in your header on your website and be done with it. Don't you can change out the call to action relative to specific pages as that makes sense, and that maybe is something that's a little bit more sophisticated, but again, keep the upper right hand corner focused on conversion. Don't clutter it with every possible web page that somebody might be able to click through to your website. Have a positive hero image that explains in a very clear message exactly what you do. Don't make people work. People don't want to work when they're online. There are too many choices. There are too many search results. If they're on social media, they're going to be distracted and go off to the next thing that they see in their newsfeed. This is the culture we live in today. When they land on your website, it's got to pass the grunt test. In 3 to 5 seconds, they need to know immediately what it is that you do and how you can help solve their problem. And if they don't see that, they may be gone and they may never come back to your website. Keep in mind that if somebody has clicked on your website, the search engines remember that typically, and so when they go do that next search result, it's going to highlight. The link color is going to be different for a page that they've already visited, and in some cases it may remind them that you visited this page on such and such a date, and if they don't remember you and didn't have a positive impression, they may not click that again. Make it easy, super, super easy for people to engage with your business and take that call to action. So I'm a big believer in request a quote, or set up a service call or something like that. Make sure you have your social media profiles that people can link to find out more about your business. Puts online reviews, testimonials, your certifications, any awards that you've received. These are credibility and trust factors that are huge, and they're super important to have on the homepage of your website, or key services pages that you need to kind of help guide people through the journey and understand why they should be working with you and how you can solve that problem for them. Put your name, address, and phone number. This is the NAP again we talked about at the very beginning, on each and every page of your website. I think having personality, with real pictures and videos of you and your team and your trucks, and wearing your logoed apparel, stuff like that is really important. Make sure that you explain, why they should choose your company. Again, most businesses have a tendency, and roofers as well, to just list the services that you offer. Keep in mind, though, many times people are, when they're doing a search on a search engine, they're searching for a problem. I have a leaky roof. What are the best ways to stop a leaky roof? How much does it cost for a roof repair? You need to think about, the problems that people have and the way that they're describing them, and that gives you an entire new set of keyword phrases that you probably need to have content on your website for, to help you make sure that you're showing up and ranking for those, or running ads for, if that's what you choose to do, or both. Mobile friendly, I can't stress this enough. Well more than 50% of searchers are now typically using mobile devices. That's going to vary a little bit from industry to industry, but it's to the point now where it's such an important thing Google's going to penalize you if your website doesn't load fast on mobile, and it's going to penalize you if your website is not rendering to be mobile friendly. We call this a responsive design also. And so you don't want to be dinged in your search rankings if your website doesn't load fast and if it doesn't render as friendly on a mobile device. Optimize the pages on your site. So there are a ton of things that you should be doing. This is just kind of a quick summary because this is probably a webinar in and of itself. But you want to have a unique title tag on every page. Title tags and your URL structure for your website are really, really important. You want to have a focus keyword phrase for each and every page that you're creating on your website, and that should be guiding what you're really what you're trying to get that page to rank for, and so that needs to be incorporated in through all of these different elements. It just reinforces that you're paying attention, you're trying to use best practices, and it really helps the search engines understand what that page content is all about. So again, I think it's important to try to the extent that you can, have a focus keyword phrase and a set of very closely related search phrases, semantically related search phrases that you incorporate on throughout the page content. Most pages, in order to have a chance to rank, at a minimum, Google is going to tell you need to have 300 words, and it'll flag any page that has less than 300 words as possibly having thin content. And so that may be okay. I mean, but if you really want a page to rank, you're going to have more, and it could be significantly more content on that page in terms of word count. Make sure that you are creating an XML sitemap and that you're pushing that out to Google Search Console and Bing Webmaster Tools so that those two search engines can crawl your website, and make sure that that's automatically pushed every time you update and modify content on your site. So here's where you can see the title tag, and this is the only place that you're going to see it. Typically, it's when you hover over a particular tab, it's going to show it, or if you could have your tab is broad enough. I tend to have too many tabs open on my windows. On my browser, and so these are usually considerably smaller, but this is where it's going to show up. And don't just do name of your company. People aren't searching for the name of your company. They're searching for the product or service or solution that you're offering, or a problem that they have. So a better SEO optimized title tag would be Atlanta roof replacement. And I like to use these vertical bars, we also refer to them as pipe symbols, to separate a keyword concept. I think it's easier to read, it's clean, the pipe symbol does kind of indicate to the search engines that it's a new keyword concept. So, and the order of importance of these is that Google is going to look at the left-hand side first, and that's where your most important keyword phrase for that page needs to be in your title tag. So here are just some examples of ways that you can do that. And again, I think it's a good idea to. The reality is you have 60 to 70 characters here to work with, so don't go crazy. I wouldn't do any more than 2 keyword concepts. They do need to be very closely related, but it could be a nuance. So for us, for example, as a digital marketer, I might have digital marketing company St. Louis, and then I might have the pipe symbol, and then it might be St. Louis online marketing expert, and that might be my title tag for one of my core pages. You also need to think about what we call the header tags, H1, H2, H3 tags on your page. This is again going to be a signal to the search engines, what the core concepts of the page is going to be all about. And so just like a book title, these heading titles kind of help you to understand what is this chapter going to be about. In this case, it's going to be what is this page going to be about. And so, you've got H1, you've got H2, and H3, and these all reinforce this core keyword concept that you're trying to get each and every page to rank for. Now let's talk about Google Maps. Optimizing for Google Maps has just become mandatory for every local business that wants to be found online. This is the best real estate that you can have outside of paying for advertising. It's going to show up before you show up in the organic search listings, and so you definitely want to try to show up in the 3-pack, as we refer to it, which is the Google Map set of listings. And there are definitely some things that you can do to help your business show up on the Google Maps. Google looks at some different criteria, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But in general, you want to be listed with your business online in as many directories and get as many of these citation links built from these directories as you can, and your name, address, phone number record needs to be exactly the same everywhere. And I mean, when I say exactly the same, that's what I mean. It should be exactly the same. If you're gonna, if you have an INC at the end of the company name, use that consistently everywhere. Don't drop it off on some listings and put it on others. Make sure your phone number is accurate. Make sure your address is accurate. It's all super important to do that. Getting ratings and reviews. Google reviews are king. That's where you should put your priority, because the Google Map results is going to outperform any other directory or review site in terms of showing up for search results. But that's not to say that you may have others that are going to be important for you to get reviews on to help you show up for. Make sure you fill out everything you can as accurately as you can and keep it up to date on your Google My Business profile. GMB is the abbreviation for Google My Business. And then continue to do regular updates. So when we looked at, and this comes directly from Google and their help content on Google My Business, and it was written in 2006, but is still valid today. These are the ranking factors. It's relevance. So Google's going to look and see, for your Google My Business listing, does that match all of the other places that it can find information about your business, your website, these other directories and citations. Is your primary business category, make sense with what your website says you do as a business. And so, you really have to think about that. There are points of diminishing return. So, if you're trying to be found on Google Maps when somebody's 50 miles away from where, they need the service, or where they need to be where they're physically located, you're not going to show up on the Google Map unless you're just in an extremely uncompetitive space, or an industry where there are very few businesses who do what you do. So in reality, the Google Map result is going to work best for you probably in a 5-mile radius from where you're physically located. Even if you don't have a physical office that you do business out of, you should, in my opinion. But if you don't, then that's still going to be kind of the marker that Google's going to use, because it's going to use your home address or whatever address you're using as kind of that center point of the radius. But last and not least is certainly this idea of prominence. Prominence is really defined by your business's reputation, and that's driven by the review count and overall rating that you're getting. It's super important to reply to each and every review that comes in, whether it's positive or negative. Don't add fuel to the fire on a negative content. Just have a standard approach, and if you get a negative review, go in and just say, we're sorry you didn't have a great experience. Your feedback is important to us. Please contact us, and then take that conversation offline. Don't get this chain of response back and forth to each other online and create this chain, because that probably won't end well for you. But the reality is, when people see that you recognize that somebody had a bad experience and you're reaching out to them to try and make it better. That's really what they need to see. But if somebody gives you, a great review, thank them for it, and and express, how you enjoyed maybe working with them, and share something, that's a little personal and relevant to the project that you did. But online reviews are absolutely king and super, super, super important for showing up on the Google Map results. If you haven't claimed your Google My Business page, go to google.com/business and start the process. And if you're not sure, you can start the process, and it may tell you if you have a claimed or if somebody else has claimed it, and then that'll give you a process on how you can take back ownership if somebody else claimed it for you and you don't have access to it. Another important thing is to make sure your business is listed across all these different directories, again, with accurate name, address, phone number information. There are so many of these different review sites. I strongly recommend that you use a management tool to keep all this information up to date and in sync. There are several different choices that you can go with. But you want to make sure that you go out and you're getting your business listed on important directories, both the generic local directories that are just a business, overall business listing across a variety of industries, as well as really highly relevant industry-specific directories that are out there. Capturing positive reviews, again, I can't stress this enough. You want to get as many 4 5-star reviews as you possibly can for your business on Google first. Facebook is another great alternative. There are sites for you guys as roofers, Home Advisor, Thumbtack, places like that. But again, your primary review strategy should be to drive people to write reviews on your Google My Business page. Absolutely critical, because this is what's going to show up on the Google Map result. And again, just some other things that you can do to continually add and update content onto your Google My Business page. So make sure you've got the proper business category or a few categories listed. Continue to add images, continue to add your services, which they've brought back. You can now have a page within your Google My Business profile that describes your services, and then continue to make updates on a regular basis, adding new images. If you every time you do a new roofing job, it gives you the opportunity to stick a picture of that roofing job. It could even be before and after pictures, out there on your Google My Business. Continue to post. Google now gives you the ability to write posts on your Google My Business page, and there are 4 different post types. There's an event. There's just a post. So if you're doing blogs, put a link out to the most recent blog post that you wrote on your Google My Business page. If you're running an offer, you can promote that. If it's if there's sign up for a new roof and we'll include your gutter maintenance program, where we'll come out and clean your gutters for the next 2 or 3 years as a part of a package that you might be promoting or whatever. And so just think through that, because Google My Business, while it's a free page, there's a lot of time and effort and marketing strategy that you need to think about to take full advantage of that prime real estate that Google gives you. And outside of your website, your Google My Business page, in my opinion, for a local roofing company is going to be probably the most important place that you would spend outside of your website. Building inbound links and authority. So the reality is, and this is something that is usually driven by a really strong, effective content strategy. The best way to build links is to provide great content and share it and promote it out through social media, and get more visibility on it. Help the search engines, optimize this content so that the search engines can find it in search results. Getting another website to link to your website is really, really critical. But it's not just any website. These need to be quality websites that are linking to your website for a real reason. That reason is typically because there's a content reason for them to link to you. It could be that you do get links from these citations, which are also very important. But having quality inbound links and monitoring the links that are being added to your website, because you don't have control over this. This is something that other people are doing on their websites and just pointing back to a page on your website. You need to monitor this for spammy links as well, because you need to go through a disavow process and remove those, because those actually can hurt your website and your rankings for that. But when you get other websites linking to your website for related content reasons, that builds tremendous authority in the eyes of the search engines, and this is how you improve your overall search rankings. And this happens over time. This is not something that just magically happens overnight. So there are a lot of different sources getting listed in a local chamber, your local or national associations that you might be a part of. Your social media properties all can drive traffic, and in some cases can provide these links. Your directory listings are critical. Other blog posts, writing guest blog posts, being on guest podcasts. I mean, there are a number of different things that will make it easier for people to provide a link back to some piece of content on your website. So we use a tool called Ahrefs to do a lot of link analysis, and so we go in and we'll do a search, and then for City Plus Roofer, for example, and then we look to see what what kind of we plug in the domain name of a business that we care about, looking at how they're ranking in terms of their links and link strategy. And when you use a tool like Ahrefs, it's going to give you a lot of suggestions on really great referring links that you might be able to go out there and try to get listed on and get them pointing back to your website. Continually creating great content, super important. It demonstrates that you're an expert in your field. It creates content, again, that I said, that people are much more likely to link to. It's not just enough to have your local auto mechanic, because your best friends or your next door neighbors, having them link to your website from their website. That really isn't going to help you a whole lot. It's much more important to have a relevant website linking to your website, and that's going to happen because you're writing great content, and every piece of content you write gives you a unique opportunity to be found for a search phrase. Syndicating that content and getting it pushed out, and published on all of the right sources is really important. Blogging by far is the best way to do this. There are lots of different ways that you can, tackle blogging. Again, that's a webinar in and of itself, but blogging is super important. The key thing is you create content, you optimize that content for search, and then you've got to promote it. And using social media in this case is going to be a really powerful way to help promote that content. So that takes us into social media. Social media can have the ability to dramatically improve your reach and build your awareness of the fact that your business exists. Probably stronger at the top of the funnel or the awareness stage, just in terms of doing social media posting. But as people start to know you, and as people start to recommend you through social media channels, that does definitely help make the phone ring for you as well. So don't think that social media by itself is necessarily going to be the silver bullet that transforms your business, but it can be a really important element in an integrated digital marketing strategy. Where to start? Well, I think every business should have a Facebook business page. It's just prime real estate. If somebody does happen to do a search for your business by your business name, your social media properties are going to show up in that search result, and it just provides credibility and trust, and it pays and shows people that you're paying attention to, to trying to be found online. Instagram, which is now owned by Facebook, has become a super important property. When you look at the demographics of who's using what social media platform, the younger target audience you're trying to reach, they're not using Facebook nearly as much. They do have Facebook profiles, but honestly, they see Facebook as drama, and they don't spend a whole lot of time there unless it's very specifically to, to reach out to a friend or family member. Instagram is where they're going to be spending their time, as well as Twitter. Those are primary channels. Snapchat as well, although Snapchat I don't think has a great deal of applicability to a roofing business, so I wouldn't waste my time with a Snapchat strategy. LinkedIn, especially if you're going to be doing commercial roofing, LinkedIn is a really important place. YouTube, I can't tell you how important video is. Video on Facebook, video on Instagram, video on YouTube, all super important. Pinterest might be a place you want to look at. I wouldn't rule out Google Plus. I would certainly at least make sure as you're doing blogging that you're adding all of the blog posts and publishing those on your Google My Business. I'm sorry, on your Google Plus page. I think you've got to try to start to build your audience. So you've got audience, you've got engagement, that you have to think about, and ultimately authority. The more content you publish on social media, the greater likelihood that you could potentially be found in somebody's news feed or Twitter feed or wherever you may be posting. But don't just post to post. Share informational articles, share key things about your business, especially your involvement in the community, or if you just did a new roofing project, post pictures of that project, tag your customer on social media, and maybe that'll help them see that you've tagged them, and then maybe they'll share it out to their friends and family. So definitely take advantage of that, and just engage. I mean, engagement is really ultimately where it all happens on social media. People can like your page, they may never go back to your page, and if they don't engage with the posts that you're doing, you're going to become very invisible very quickly in your social media channels. So you need to provide content that they feel is worth commenting and sharing, not just liking, and then you need to interact with them and keep that conversation going, and that's how you grow a powerful, effective social media. Take a look at a paid strategy. Again, I love search engine optimization. I'm kind of a geek, I guess, in that way, and it can be a lot of fun, and it's certainly a big challenge to get websites to rank. But if you need immediate results and you need consistent results, you should be doing a Google ad strategy. And Google, right now is getting well over 60% of all search traffic. It is the king when it comes to paid advertising online, and it's also the strongest place where people express an intention to make a buying decision. So you definitely want to be found when somebody has made the decision that they're ready to buy. And so Google AdWords, and it's now officially called Google Ads, is the best way to be found online for those phrases. Keep in mind that there will be a lot of people who will never click on an ad because they recognize that it's an ad, but still it gets you that visibility and guaranteed position in the search results, and that's super important. I think Facebook advertising is another really important channel. There are so many cool things that you can do with Facebook ads. You can build custom audiences, and you can use the power of Facebook remarketing to deliver highly relevant ads to very specific target audiences, and so I would definitely encourage you to take a look at Facebook advertising. And it's great for awareness building and taking people, and you can actually build an entire advertising funnel to drive people through the buying decision using Facebook ads, or delivering them from a Facebook ad ultimately to a Google ad result to get them to convert and become at least a qualified lead or a customer. There are a lot of reasons why pay-per-click ads fail. I honestly think Google is one of their biggest enemies here. They have a tendency to make it way too easy for people to go in and set up, a campaign on Google Ads because they give you these coupon codes from time to time. A lot of people have tried these. That's the budget that they set is, what the value of that coupon is. And it doesn't deliver results, and that's not a surprise. I mean, there are definitely ways that you can optimize and improve your ad campaigns. And when you set up an ad campaign and you monitor it and you continue to optimize it, you can drive your costs down. You can increase the click-through rates and conversions. Of people who, when they click on your ad, they go to a custom landing page that matches exactly what the ad was that drove them there, so they don't bounce and leave. And then they fill out a contact form or they make a phone call to engage with your business to take that next step. When you create that path and it's crystal clear, you're going to get the highest conversion rates. That's going to allow you to pay less per click, and it's probably going to help the positioning of where your ad is going to be displayed on Google. So may not be obvious, but I think it's really important to make sure that you think about how you set up your online pay-per-click ad campaigns. So the highest bid doesn't necessarily guarantee you the top ranking because we've got this notion called a quality score. Google is ultimately trying to deliver the most relevant search results, to people. And so just because you pay more for a keyword phrase, if it's not relevant, Google probably isn't going to render it. Your quality score is critical, and this is it's going to be measuring a path from what keyword phrase was used to trigger your ad to be displayed, of the number of times that ad was displayed. Are people clicking on it? If they're not clicking on it, that's going to hurt your quality score. If they click on your ad, when they go to the website that you're driving them to, what's happening? If they immediately bounce, that's going to impact your quality score in a very negative way. And what if they go to a page and they stick there for a while and they stay on that page, and then if they click on your call to action on that page to schedule a free estimate or to make that phone call, filling out a form or making a phone call, then Google can track that as a conversion if you set it up properly, and that's how you get your highest quality score. So it's a combination of click-through rate, relevance, and the quality of the landing page. And so, ultimately, the better quality score that you have, the lower cost you're going to pay to get those top positions. And so you might pay less per click for the same keyword phrase as a competitor, and you may also show up higher, in positions 1, 2, or 3 above a competitor for the same search phrase, even though they may be spending more money than you. And then measuring and tracking everything. So this is, again, just super critical because it gives you the opportunity to optimize. Unlike any other marketing platform, the online stuff you can measure and track and optimize in ways that you can't others. And as a matter of fact, offline strategies, if you're sending postcards to customers, or you're putting yard signs in the customers, that you're doing your projects for, putting the new roofs and the improvements and whatnot, if you do it right, you can actually use that offline strategy to track online performance. So maybe on your yard sign, you drive people to a specific landing page on your website, and that you're driving traffic there through either your postcards or your signs that you're putting in people's yard only to that page, and then you can see how many people are getting onto that page, and you can see, is that offline tactic helping to drive traffic and get people to convert and call and schedule appointments. So we've talked about all these different 8 things. Again, I really believe if you do all of these in an organized, consistent, systematic approach, you're gonna have the phone ring, and you're gonna start to see a lot more forms being submitted on your website. That's the other thing I didn't really talk about. On your website, I'm a big believer in using a call tracking system, because that way you can trace exactly why people contacted you, whether it was from a postcard, whether it was from a Facebook ad campaign or a Google AdWord campaign. You can have unique call tracking phone numbers that give you accountability to measure, track, and optimize the performance of each and every one of your marketing campaigns. So I know we covered a ton of information, and we're coming up on an hour, and I appreciate your time and patience. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. I know you've got to have a lot of questions. Your choices are: you do nothing, you continue the status quo. You learn to do it on your own. Believe me, I mean, I spend easily $10,000 a year on my own personal education and certification process just to stay up to date with all the stuff that changes. You can hire an expert who you're paying to stay on top of this stuff. And again, this may not be obvious, but you might be able to go out and hire somebody and put in your office, and maybe they can handle social media, and maybe they can do a pretty good job of staying on top of that and doing social media well for your business. But it's going to be hard for them to be a great SEO expert. It's going to be hard for them to always write really great content that compels people to want to link to you, or that might be share-worthy. And so you can actually frequently hire an expert that can cover all of the important 8 elements that we talked about from a digital marketing perspective, and maybe give guidance to your internal staff, because ultimately you got to have people on your team who are helping to contribute to the success of your digital online presence. But I think it is worth considering hiring an expert to do that. So if you'd like for us to do this, we would love to talk to you about that and see what we might be able to do. One thing is that we only work with one client in each region. And by region, if it's a major metropolitan area, we typically look at zones or neighborhoods. It is possible for somebody to get an entire, major metropolitan area, but obviously you're paying for more for that than just for a particular suburb or neighborhood kind of thing. But we do this because we don't want to compete against ourselves. If we're going to make an investment with you to help you grow your business, I can't be working for another competitor in the same geographic market, and because I'm going to be competing against the work that we're doing for you. So what we like to do to get started is to do a complete review of your website. We analyze your search engine optimization and see how you're currently ranking against your competitors. We look at the keyword data and the keywords that you're being found for. We analyze the effectiveness of your content. Do you have the right pages on your website? Are you blogging? Do you have enough content in each and every page to help you rank? Is it compelling, interesting content? What kind of social media presence do you have? What are your competitors doing? Are there opportunities? We do a SWOT analysis, a strength, weakness, opportunity, threat assessment, to understand what's possible, and then we give you a recommended course of action on how to improve your digital presence and outperform your competitors. We typically do this for $799. But what we're doing now, since you guys are on this webinar, is we're doing it for just $399. Here's why I think this is a great thing for you. You're going to get so much great actionable information to help you improve your digital presence that it's going to give you the ability to go out and hire somebody. You might choose to decide that you might want to work with us. You might want to have us help train your staff. You might want to go hire somebody else. You might want to make an investment in training your own team to go be able to do these things. But it's going to help you understand where you're currently standing and give you a path on how you can move forward and improve your presence. So you can sign up for this, if you go to this URL. This is a limited time offer. I think you're going to have 72 hours to sign up for this. to get this discounted price. We can only work with so many people who sign up for this, and so again, I want to encourage you to really think about this. The other great thing is it gives you a pretty low cost, low risk opportunity to work with us and find out how it might be working with us. And you get a chance to try that out before you make a deep investment in improving your online marketing strategy with us. So again, when we do this total online presence audit, there's a 100% money back guarantee. If you're not happy with it, we're going to refund your money. Again, you can sign up here at roofermarketingalliance.com/MW audit and take advantage of our special pricing of $3.99. Again, you're going to need to do this within the next couple of days to take advantage of this pricing opportunity. And like I said, I think it's going to be you're going to get huge value from this. So with that, I want to thank you very much for your time. I really appreciated the opportunity to share with you something I obviously have a lot of passion in regard to digital marketing, and I'd love to be able to help your roofing business succeed and grow and achieve your business goals and objectives. Thanks so much, and best of luck to you. Take care.